Live from the virtual lounge in cyberspace, it's Beats and Eats, a happy hour for the mind, featuring the best in conversation and pop culture, food, music, movies, comedy, you name it, and you'll never know who'll be dropping by to pay us a visit. And now, here are your hosts, Tyree and Nick Gelso.
Thank you, bartender Scott Mitchell. Tyree, Nick Gelso. The virtual lounge is open. It is your happy hour for the mind, and I do stress happy. We will not talk about the government shutdown. We will not talk about talks with Iran or Syria or any other serious matter on this program tonight. All we're going to talk about is pop culture and just have some fun. Last night was the finale of Breaking Bad. Everybody in America, I think, watched it. 10 million. Crazy numbers for Breaking Bad. I think that was a record. Also tonight, we're going back to the 80s. One of my favorite 80s cult classics, Bachelor Party. What a classic movie with Tom Hanks to get his career rolling, and his guest star, Adrian Zmed, will join us here in about 15 minutes to talk his career on the stage, on the Broadway stage in Greece. Of course, you saw him in Grease 2, and of course, you saw him on this program. That's the joke, is that intros to 1980s television shows, Nick, they went on forever.
Well, that one did.
That one does, and it continues on, by the way. It was cut short. So for those of you who are wondering what theme song that is the theme song to one of Nick Gelso's all-time favorite crime dramas, T.J. Hooker. And our guest tonight, none other than Adrian Zmed, Officer Ramano from T.J. Hooker. Oh, come on, Nick. We talked about this the other day on the show. This is one of your favorite programs, one of Shatner's favorite programs for you.
It just gets us one step closer to Shatner.
It does. I know.
One guest closer to Shatner. And I noticed you continue to book Shatner connections. You are determined to make my dream come true.
I am, my friend. I'm here for all my friends. I'll do anything for you, and I know how much you want to be on a show with William Shatner, and I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. Heather Locklear maybe will be next.
Oh, boy, would that be just... We would have to do a Google Hangout for that. You've got to see her. She's just gorgeous. You know, I must say, Adrian Zmed, well-known. I mean, we brought him on for T.J. Hooker, but quite impressive that he was also in Grease, a movie that I just never liked.
I like Grease a lot, and Adrian, of course, played Danny Zuko on the big stage on Broadway, and then had a role in Grease 2 as Johnny, another favorite character from, I guess you would call it a series. And Grease, though, Nick, you can't argue. As far as the musicals are concerned, it's right up there. I know you might not be a musical fan, but that ranks right up there with the best of them.
I agree. No, it does. There's no doubt about it.
Now, get this. Guess who we have on the line? So he's hearing everything we say about him right now. He's taking time away from Monday Night Football.
Oh, man.
That's tonight. We already have Mr. Adrian Zmed on the line. Did
he hear my Shatner worship?
I think he did. Adrian, are you there?
Yes, I am. How did you know that I was in your queue?
I could see you. I saw the phone number, my friend. So we're sorry for dragging you away from Monday Night Football tonight, my friend.
Well, I've got it, recording, so I'll be able to go back and see it. Cool.
Oh, there you go. Yes, it is 2013. There are things called DVRs, not VCRs. I get them confused sometime in my late age. Yes, I said VCR the other night when we were talking to Alan Hunter. Anyway, Adrian, thanks for joining us tonight. We were just talking about the theme to T.J. Hooker. Did you think, we're talking 30 years later, that we'd be talking about T.J. Hooker? I was actually watching the show on my lunch break the other day on Universal HD. Do you ever just click through the channels and stop and watch the old shows?
Yeah, once in a while I see it and I look at it and I really laugh because it really it really is a dated 80s show with that silly music, dun dun dun, and stuff, and the hair and the spandex.
Adrian, that may be the longest television intro of all time. I mean, Tyree just played it in its entirety. It took up half of our iTunes feed.
Yeah, I know. And it's one of those theme songs that did not have words attached to it. So
lots of stunt moves by Shatner in the intro,
Right.
Shatner, how was he as a stuntman? The Shat.
Well, they kept on trying to stop him from doing the stunts because if he got hurt, we'd have to stop shooting. Which is that I followed suit with him, and I wanted to do all of my stunts, and I actually did get hurt once, so pretty badly. I wasn't able to walk. So they actually had to put me behind a desk for an entire episode to rewrite the whole episode.
Wow. Now, you were an athlete, though, weren't you? Prior to getting onto the stage, you weren't actually an athlete.
Yeah, I played football in high school, but unfortunately I broke my leg pretty badly, and there went my whole football career. I was actually going to go to Notre Dame on a scholarship, but it was a pretty bad break. So what did I become? I became a dancer instead. So.
Yeah, and look what happened, though. Look what happened. You got your break on Broadway, right? You did Grease. You played Danny in Grease, right? On Broadway.
Yeah, I actually have the distinction of having performed Danny Zuko on Broadway and in national tours more than anybody else has ever done the role. Because I did the original, and then I actually did the Tommy Tune revival in the late 90s. So you're kind of totaling about 6, 7, 8 years of Grease, 8 performances a week when you combine those two together. Plus I did some tours in the 80s also before that Tommy Tune revival. So the list is endless. It's how many times I did it.
So when they cast Grease 2, what were your feelings about playing Johnny as opposed to the Maxwell Caulfield character? Or did that fit you more to play Johnny?
Well, I was an complete unknown when I did Grease 2. To Hooker, what happened was that we shot the pilot of Hooker, and then I got Grease 2 right after the pilot, and we didn't know whether we were going to get picked up or not. And we were actually not picked up for the season. We actually were a replacement pickup when we actually premiered. So I actually went off and did Grease 2, and I had really not any credits other than a lot of guest starring roles, like on Starsky and Hutch and things like that. So I was really lucky to get that role because I really wasn't a name at the point. And Maxwell had done some stuff in London where he had a name already, and Michelle already had done something like 1 or 2 movies. I think she did Hollywood Nights, which was one of her first movies with Tony.
Oh, that's a classic. Yeah.
So I really wasn't a name, and the way I got that is because the director was actually the choreographer of the original show on Broadway, and she wanted me badly to do it because she knew that I would be able to pull it all off with the singing and the dancing and taking care of the T-Birds and really bringing what the Broadway Grease is all about to the screen. So she kind of strategically had me go in to audition at every callback right after. They actually wanted a huge rock star to do that part. I had to go back about 10 times to audition for it. And she put me in the room right after the rock star would audition every single time, and the producers still agreed that I was the number one contender for it until they finally said, okay, just give it to him. So that's how I ended up doing it, and that's why I didn't get the Maxwell Caulfield role.
Yeah, and it was a great role for you. In fact, I remember watching you on Solid Gold perform, I think it was Prowlin' was the name of the song, Adrian?
God.
Yeah, he's
a little crazy, aren't you?
He is a dork.
Well, what I remember most, Adrian, and I've asked like the last 2 guests we've had this question, what was it like to be on Battle of the Network Stars?
If I hear this question one more time, it's always a great answer, though.
It was a blast to do it. And all, I was completely humiliated in one of the events. Billy Moses, that he was a professional athlete and stuff, and it was a swimming event, and he just blew me away, and we lost because he just pulled away from me, and also it was a blast and fun to do all the time, but I had one quite embarrassing, moment where he just killed me, and that. It was a blast. And I did it quite a few times, and it was fun to just get together with everybody and for all of us to compete against each other each time. We always had a big advantage. It was always the women that were the difference as to whether you won or not. And Heather was really very athletic, so she was always on our team. We also had Janet Jones one year. You know who Janet Jones is?
Oh yeah, very nice.
She went and married Wayne Gretzky, and she was one of the dancers when I did Dance Fever.
She was a gymnast, wasn't she?
Pardon me?
Wasn't she a gymnast, Adrian?
No, she was a dancer. She was a dancer. I think she did do some gymnastics and stuff, but she was mainly a dancer. Like I said, she was one of my dancers on Dance Fever. She was very athletic too. She was in a couple of our teams too. So they were really the difference as to whether we won or lost most of the time. It's the women, whether they can run and swim and jump and do all that kind of stuff. And
there was some decent prize money involved back then, wasn't there?
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I completely forgot what we won. You probably remember more than I do.
I'm sorry, Dad. I loved Howard Cosell, and being a child of the 70s and the 80s, I used to watch Battle of the Network Stars and, of course, Monday Night Football all the time, and I remember Battle of the Network Stars so vividly. So it lives on in YouTube fame, and it's fun to go back and watch all those clips. Now, talk about working with Tom Hanks in Bachelor Party, which is a cult classic from the 80s, and every time that movie's on, I've got to stop the dial because it's pretty damn funny still.
Yeah, it's so funny. I've actually managed to, in the few films that I've done that many of them become cult classics. That being another one. You know that Grease 2 outrents and outsells Grease 1? It just does.
Wow, that's crazy. Really?
I think it's more kid friendly. To say the truth.
Kid friendly.
Yeah, because come on, did you ever listen to the lyrics in Grease Lightning?
Oh yeah, You're right. A lot of innuendo. Yeah. Absolutely.
And people getting pregnant, and now so Grease 2 is much more, kid friendly. But Bachelor Party has totally become a cult classic, and I usually get drunken college students walking up to me to say one of my famous lines from the show. Come on, man, say it. And it's usually like, look at the cans on that bimbo, or
yeah, sure. That's too funny.
Stuff like that.
What's going on now? I know you were involved in Surf the Musical, which played in Vegas last year, which was a Beach Boys musical. What happened with that, and is there a future still for that?
It's a real damn shame that it didn't survive. I mean, it was really a good show. The creative people who put Rock of Ages together put it together, but we had producers who kind of didn't know what they were doing when it came to marketing, and nobody knew that we were here. So, you can't keep the show open, and they poured an enormous amount of money into the production aspects of it, but they forgot that they needed money for publicity. So that was the main reason. It was the people who saw it absolutely loved it, but you can't. Vegas is a transient city. It's like nobody lives here that goes to the shows. Everybody comes in on the weekend, from everywhere, all of the country, in the world, to go to a show. So when they arrive and they don't see billboards and other things, advertising it, they don't know that it's there. And that's the way it went. But it was a shame. It was a shame. Working on a couple Vegas right now. So hopefully we'll get the ball rolling with those two shows soon.
I was just doing some reading on you and your family, and both your sons. They have the musical group The Janks doing well in L.A., and of course your wife.
Really, you've done your research, haven't you? Wow, and now you even know about what. Go ahead. What is my wife doing?
Yeah, she's back up for me. Well, the thing is, if you're going to spend enough time with us to be on the show, I can at least do my due diligence and know what I'm talking about.
You're actually pretty damn good, and a lot better than a lot of other big people that I've been interviewed by. So you've really done your homework. It's pretty amazing.
There's another soundbite, Ty. There's another soundbite.
Yeah.
Ty, we can cut that out.
What do you think that my wife is doing right now? I'm just curious to know if you've got it right.
Well, is she doing backup vocals for Meatloaf? Is that right?
Yeah, you got it. There's a new show called Rock Tells and Cocktails, and